So, Patrick, I wanted to ask you first how this all came together.
It sort of came together unbelievably fast in the way things come together in Hollywood. The movie started off with a series of conversations of Todd Farmer and I just spitballing of something we'd wanted to see. A love of these 70s car movies, Race with the Devil, Vanishing Point, the Seven Ups, movies like that, and High Plains Drifter very specifically. And then suddenly we started creating this thing called Drive Angry, and this sort of supernatural road movie. It had all sorts of crazy characters. We wrote the script in 8 weeks. We sent it to Mike DeLuca, the producer, who immediately said, Nick Cage would love to be in this movie. We sent it to Nick Cage and got a call from Nick a couple weeks later and asking us to come meet with him, and went to his house, and he was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever read. I said, I've never played a character list. I love supernatural stories. I love car stories. I have to be part of it. And then suddenly he had a movie that he was going to set up with Millennium Films, and we went to Avi Lerner and everybody there, and they were like, yes, we will make this movie. And we're like, okay, and within less than a year from even coming up with the idea, we were shooting it. Which never happens. It wasn't a movie that was developed. It wasn't a movie that was an assignment. It wasn't a movie that some head of a studio said this is a franchise property that we must own and we must make a project of. It was something we wrote for fun.
That's precisely what I was going to ask you. I mean, it must have been a lot of fun to write it.
It was. Todd and I, as we wrote it, there was a total sort of one-upmanship that we've tried to do in creating these sort of crazy scenes and crazy characters and how they would interact and how the world would unfold before us and wanting to make something that was sort of perversely, wildly entertaining.
Let's talk a bit about these crazy characters. I mean, you have John Milton, you have Piper, you have the accountant. Who are these people?
Milton is a guy who is a bad guy. He is a murderer. He's a thief, a robber, a driver for a gang. He's all these things. He goes to hell because he deserves it. But he also failed a daughter that he loved tremendously. And will do anything to right that wrong. So as bad as he is, as evil as he might be, he is a guy doing a good thing. He's a guy doing a noble thing. He's a guy doing a heroic thing, even though some of his methods to do it may not be very heroic. Piper Piper is basically Todd Farmer as a very hot chick. That's sort of how it was conceived. When I was reading Piper, it was like, Todd, this is you in really short shorts. Piper's the heart of the story. She is this very tough, cussing, punch throwing young woman whose life has not turned out the way she wanted it to, who gets thrown into with Milton on his journey, and really is the audience experiences the movie through her. They discover the world through her. They discover the supernatural elements through her, and she. At the end of the movie, she is completely the heart and soul of the film, and it was vital to have the relationship that she has with Nick's character be a father-daughter relationship. She's the surrogate daughter for the daughter that he lost, and that was very, very important in the casting of Amber and the relationship that Amber and Nick have in the film, and I think even afterwards. The accountant is the character everybody wants to be. If you could be anybody in life, the accountant, because he always looks good, and he is always there with the funny line, the perfect thing to say, and he can totally destroy you if you cross him in any way imaginable. He is wickedly funny and lethally dangerous frequently at the same time. He has a uniqueness of cadence. We couldn't have asked for anybody better than William Fichtner to bring the accountant to life. He really found all the nuances of somebody who never existed. There's no archetype for the character. And when he and I would discuss it, we realized it was a character that could go any which way. And he found some internal magic and spark that was so exciting to see every single day he was on set.
So how important was Nick Cage in getting this movie going, and what do you think he brought to the role?
You know, Nick was obviously very important in getting the film going. You know, when we got Nick involved, he immediately embraced us as filmmakers, myself and Todd, and obviously he'd worked with Mike DeLuca before, and wanted to see the movie made, wanted to see this come to life in the best way possible. He was incredibly supportive of us, of the vision that I had for the film, and the vision that myself and all the other filmmakers involved wanted to bring forth, and wanted to be part of it. And in terms of the character, we couldn't have asked for somebody who could find both the incredible hard edge that Milton has, but yet still bring some vulnerable humanity to it, still make somebody who is really does villainous things be so utterly likable. You know, that's Nick. That's Nick's charisma. That's Nick's screen presence. That's Nick as a person. He really knows how to do that, and how to find all those moments that he's never played a monotone thing in his life. You know, that's only had one color. He can find every single color of a character, no matter how it's written, and bring so much to the palette of the film.
Speaking of your vision for the movie, you had directed your previous movie in 3D, and you envisioned this one in 3D from the beginning, right?
Yes, from the beginning. Right from the very get-go, this was designed to be a 3D film. We wanted to... we had learned so much about 3D on My Bloody Valentine. We'd learned so much about the format, the technology. We felt it would be really stupid not to make another 3D movie as fast as we could, while people still wanted them, and be able to take that experience and really push that envelope even further. It worked with gear that had evolved, so it allowed us to shoot faster, allowed us to shoot leaner in terms of a crew size. And then we could experiment with actually how the 3D presented itself, how that story unfolded in 3D, right from the get-go. Yeah, this was conceived that way. It was something we were very passionate about doing.
Nevertheless, most of the action is actually real action.
Yeah, absolutely. The action is real action. The fight scenes are real fight scenes. The driving scenes are real driving scenes. And that to us was the real reason to do it in 3D, to actually strap you in the car next to Nick Cage, and to actually put you in the back of an RV having a fight with Amber Heard and Billy Burke, so that you were part of it, and so that it wasn't like a CG environment. To me, 3D in a real world is mesmerizing. Scenes like the diner, where you actually see the reality of the diner. It's like you can practically smell the bacon. And that to me was what was really intoxicating about it. Not creating the full CG world and everything like that. And I understand the merit in that. That could be beautiful and everything like that. And you need a lot of money to do it. But we never even occurred to us to do that. In this film. In this film, we wanted it to be real. We wanted you to enter the reality of the world of Drive Angry.
And you shot the movie in Shreveport, Louisiana. How was that experience?
Shreveport was great. They welcomed us with open arms. We found amazing locations that really supported the film. They let us close down roads for a long period of time and blow things up in grand fashion, probably in places we shouldn't have done that. And it would turn out to be a really great, essentially, backlot to shoot the movie.
Everyone is talking about how much fun they had on set. I know the director is probably the person that works the most. Nevertheless, how much did you enjoy this process, and what did you enjoy the most about it?
I love the filmmaking process. I love every facet of it has different things. I love the casting process where the movie has the absolute most potential, because you're seeing all these different actors bring all these different versions of the character to life, and the character starts to really form, not on the page, but as you start to hear it. As you start to hear it for the first time being done by so many different people. Working with a cast that we ended up deciding on and ended up embracing our particular brand of madness was amazing. To work with Nicolas Cage and Amber Heard and William Fichtner and Billy Burke, and to have Tom Atkins back, David Morse, Katie Mixon, all these great characters who came and immediately got and understood what we were trying to do. The crew got it. There's so many days we didn't have a lot of money. We couldn't do this, and everybody threw so much extra into it. Everybody worked so hard to do that. It's not easy making a movie. It's not easy making 200, 300 people all work collectively on one thing. at high speed, and to have that, every day, you just sort of finish with this feeling of exhausted pride, not in yourself, but in the work that everybody else did, and knowing that they were doing it for the film, and they were doing it for their love of being there.